All right, welcome back. So to this point, we've been talking about watches that have been they've been bought with really strict specifications and standards, and most of these watches had between 9 and 15 joules. Some even had 16. So they were expensive. I mean, they were watches that even though the military would buy them for a lot less, they were costly. So now, after World War II, pre-Vietnam, after Indochina conflict, and we have Vietnam getting ready to roll around. Okay, so growing Army, growing Navy, Air Force, and the Marine Corps. The Department of Defense needed something that was more basic, cheaper watch that would be issued to the troops. More pilots, more navigators, more troops, and the specification that came out was this one. This is the MIL W46374, and this one here is called the first. Keep in mind also that the restrictions were also more strict before these came out. Even though the military is gonna start going through a strict process of buying more precise watches along the line, but for now, starting Vietnam, they needed to buy something cheap, something that didn't require any maintenance. So, yeah, the Department of Defense mainly did away with most, if not all, their watchmakers in the companies because they no longer needed that type of repair. But uh, don't take my word for them eliminating 100% of the watchmakers. I'm sure that they kept some, but not as many though. All right, they wanted a watch that would provide for the growing forces. So this one came out, and it was a non-maintainable plastic case, top loader. So you couldn't open it from the back. You had to open it from the front by removing the crystal, turning the crown, and it had a two-part stem. When aligned correctly, the dial would fall out, and you would have access to it. Now, these watches were non-maintainable, so they were just, once the watch went bad, unless you knew someone who knew how to repair it, basically it got thrown away. As you can see, this one here is the mill. Mill W46374 is called the first, made by Benris, and at one point Belfort made the first few that never were actually issued. Some may have been issued, but the company that took the credit for was Benris. This specification was published in 1964. The intent was for a cheap, simple field watch to be issued to ground troops and other personnel that needed a watch. A plastic case and no high degree of accuracy. Minimal shock resistant. They didn't require that it be completely shock resistant, and minimal waterproof. No unhacking, so it didn't have the hacking function. And lastly, a non-maintainable watch. So no need for an abundance of watchmakers within the military supply system. It needed to have a clear dial. So here we go with the specifications. They didn't want the names on the dial. And basically what happened is the engravings on the back, the company would put their name. All right. Minimal luminous material on the hands. And in some of the production years, the 12 will have luminous material. In this case, this one has luminous. So this one has lumens around each minute triangle. The 12, the hands, and the second hand. In the back of the case, it's inscribed, specifically says which wrist watch, and then it says non-maintainable. So Mill W46374, the company who made it was Benris. Then it'll have federal stock number. You know, and at this point they start putting federal stock numbers on there, starting with the 6645 numerals in the beginning. The last four numbers would be an indication of how many joules they have. And then the manufacturing part number on this one is 11K 11850. The contract number and the date. The dates that were put on these watches was always the month and the year. So in this case, in this specific watch, it says August of 1966. All right, and remember I told you the federal stock number starts with a 6645, and the last four numbers, a watch with 7 joules like this one would have the number 3767. Okay. If you notice, numerals used on our dials are very identical to what were used on aircrafts, military aircraft clocks. From this point on, this is the dial style that would be used on all further specifications. And you would think that would be throughout the remaining set of watches that the U.S. purchased, but not in all cases that's not true. Stocker and Yale came out with some watches and they actually changed the fonts, and you'll see those later on. But if you notice, the top line on the 3 is a flat, and all the dials from here on out will have that flat top 3, and the 6 and the 9 have the same curvature. So this is the uniqueness of this font and style. Clean dial with no manufacturer's name inscribed, and that was because of military specifications. All right, so here you have it, the first one out of the 46374 family, called the First, made by Benris. Okay, stay tuned, got some more coming.